Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Elves and dwarves, wizards and rangers. Tolkien began high fantasy as we know it. Why are we so drawn to the worlds inspired by his creation? That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I am Rick Perry, and your Guildmaster the White.
And I am Baron Kane, your Man of the West.
And joining us for the first time as a new guild member, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mary, Hobbit of the Shire.
That's right, people. We got an actual Hobbit on the podcast. I don't want to hear about how your Lord of the Rings podcast is better than our Lord of the Rings podcast, because we got a Hobbit.
So,
all right, let's go ahead and start with a question we usually start with, and what's your favorite? Let's go with what's your favorite book and what's your favorite movie from Lord of the Rings?
Same. Return of the King.
Nice.
Absolutely both.
Very nice. Well, that was quick.
There's that since I first read the books when I was like 10, Return of the King has been my absolute favorite for just one chapter. It's chapter 5, the very end of it, with Theoden going in with the Rohirrim to the Battle of Pelennor. It's phenomenal.
That's good. Well, you even have a favorite chapter. That's great. My favorite book is The Hobbit, hands down. It was the first book I read out of the entire series. It hit me at just the right age level. It carried with me through adulthood. I have found it no less, in fact, more so entertaining as I've read it through the years. But I wouldn't say that the movie is my favorite. Man, I don't know. I think it's Return of the King. I think Return of the King is probably my favorite movie. It's just great. It's got everything. It's wonderful and very emotional. I love how they picked up on that and laid it down. But I will say, when I watched the Hobbit movie, when they said the words, those opening words, I cried. So good.
The two song job with those. I love the way they were done.
The what?
The songs that the dwarves sang. These are the things that Bilbo hates, and Misty Mountain. Absolutely fantastic. I loved how they were done.
I think that's something that the originals missed. It's like the songs. It's like them bitches sang all the time.
Oh yeah. That when they're marching to they're on the road after they leave the Shire the first time. Mm-hmm. And they're singing the one song about leaving home and being on the road that Bilbo wrote, and it's just not there, and it's missing. It's like weird. Not having Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, there were certain creative choices that they made with those movies that were just like, was that the right move? I don't think so. I didn't hate the movies. I love the movies. It just kind of shocked me. Like, really?
Yeah, there was a couple things. It's like, why didn't you have that in there? You kind of need that.
Yes, exactly. I guess Tom Bombadil wasn't necessary.
No, but he's my favorite character. One of my favorite characters in the book.
Yeah, actually knew someone named Goldberry, which I thought was
really.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm actually not 100% sure she wasn't actually Goldberry. But. Yeah.
Was she blonde in a green dress?
Yes.
Nice.
This is where I'm going to have to reveal that if I were a video game boss, Lord of the Rings would be my giant glowing weak spot in my nerd knowledge. So
you say this because you have no clue who we were just talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't read the books since I was in middle school, so most of my knowledge of those books is just entirely missing. But The Hobbit specifically did leave quite an impression on me, so I would have to say The Hobbit is my favorite book of the series and my favorite movie, because when it comes to the modern quote unquote Lord of the Rings movies, I don't think I've finished a single one of them. So my favorite Lord of the Rings movie is the Rankin Bass animated Hobbit, because after I watched that movie, I had a little Casio keyboard, and I would do my very best to recreate songs from that movie when I was very young. So
I would be hard pressed to say that the live action movie is better than the animation. The Rankin and
the animated one is amazing.
It's got all the songs. It's got the journey on there. They fit it into one movie. It's just great. It's just great.
It is
Putting
very
The Hobbit
good.
into 3 films was like, why?
I've also seen it in 3 languages
Nice.
because I saw it in English at home, and then when I was in middle school in Michigan, we took a half a semester of French and a half a semester of German, and both the French teacher and the German teacher showed us that movie in those respective languages.
I really think that those movies would really be good in French and German, though.
They were very good.
German actually very appropriate for that, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tolkien was a philologist that specialized in Anglo-Saxon studies, so German is perfect.
Yep. What an interesting man that guy was. Actually,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, like I was saying in the intro, like he's the creator of high fantasy, at least as we know it now. I mean, like, we know what an elf, a dwarf, an orc, a wizard is because of Tolkien. Like before Tolkien, elves were fey creatures. Things like from other folklore, maybe like elves from Santa's Workshop and other folklores, but like definitely not what Tolkien envisioned them as.
Yeah, well,
no, they were.
What Tolkien envisioned for elves was very Norse, very Valhalla, like the Alfar, which actually Gandalf has elf in his name, the Gandalf.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
I hadn't thought about that before. Good point. Yeah, because when the elves die, they go to the halls of Mandos to be reborn.
Yep. They're very, like in mythology, elves are they're creatures of light. They're their own race of almost deities, which, I mean, you look at some of the elves in Lord of the Rings, they're pretty close. They essentially live forever. They very powerful, and
well, they're still not quite as powerful as like the Maiar or the Ainur, like Gandalf.
No. Which I think is funny because it's like reading the books and watching the movies. It's almost like I want to believe that Gandalf. When they came to Middle Earth, did they lose their memory? Was it? Or did they have good knowledge of what they were, like Gandalf and the other wizards?
Oh yeah, they knew exactly who they were. They served the Ainur.
What?
He knew exactly who he was.
They're so powerful. Why?
Well, like when in the books, when he says he serves the eternal flame, when he's fighting the Balrog, he's talking about the flame imperishable, which is Eru Ilúvatar. He's the creator of Arda, or Middle Earth.
Huh.
He warned you. He said, "Don't take him for some conjure of cheap tricks."
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So, feel free, Mary, to fill in the gaps. But I'm going off of a very layman's knowledge with this. The wizards, Rick, are essentially like demigods. They're almost angels.
Basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It had always been explained to me as they were basically angels.
Yeah, they're not supposed to get involved with the workings of man and elf, but Gandalf does, quite in depth.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He started out really subtle. But
no. The book, The Silmarillion, he's named Olren, and he is constantly involved with them from the very beginning.
I was talking about The Hobbit.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because in The Hobbit, he really was really subtle.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just like, all right, go.
Just push him along a little bit.
Right. But, in Lord of the Rings, he's, rushing into battle with them all and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a little more sense of urgency to him.
There
really isn't in Hobbit because they haven't found the ring.
Right. I will say this: that I saw they were talking to George R.R. Martin at one point about his thoughts on Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. And one of his critiques was Gandalf should have stayed dead. I'm like, this motherfucker. Oh wait, no, he's right. He's right. This would have been a much better story if Gandalf would have just stayed dead.
Maybe, but then you would have had the issue with the Battle of Helm's Deep that wouldn't be resolved because the Rohirrim wouldn't have gotten there in time.
In terms of like a storytelling, not necessarily a timeline, we take this out of the time.
True.
But from a storytelling standpoint, it all could have been wrote a little differently. The emotional investment would have been deeper, and so as a storyteller, yeah, totally. But if we're looking at it
from a storytelling perspective,
right? Yeah, if we're looking at it from like a storyline, timeline kind of thing, then those Eagles should have gotten involved too. Let's just.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the Eagles, even all the way back, are very, very jealous, powerful creatures. They could have easily taken the ring, and would have just hidden it away and used it for. That's what the Eagles do.
And also, they were talking to Tolkien and like one of his interviews that he did and stuff like that, and he apparently very annoyed by that question about the Eagles, by the way. But he essentially said the Eagles don't get involved because it wouldn't make for a good story. I was like, oh,
what good is it to pick someone up and drop them off somewhere else?
Right.
It's 5 pages of story. It's worthless.
I think it's funny, all this debate, all through these years that us super nerds are like getting into about these damn Eagles, and then Tolkien's like, I didn't do it because it wouldn't be a good story. Oh.
Well, he does. They have reason. Like, they save Frodo and Sam at some point.
Yeah.
Actually, they do it multiple times with different characters throughout the books.
Mm-hmm.
They swoop in and save everything.
Oh, I mean, look at the Hobbit. Look at the Hobbit. They were literally one of the armies, for fuck's sake. They got directly involved.
Hobbit, yeah, they do in Silmarillion too, during the Battle of the Valar.
Can we agree that the big thing that
to not bring up Silmarillion?
No, we're going to bring it up because you're going to educate us on this. In fact, actually, it's going to be a 5-hour podcast because you're going to give a full rundown of the entire thing, along with like family trees and who begat who, and yeah, we're getting into this. You're going to explain the 3 strands of hair. That's it. We're getting into this. But can we agree that one of the big things that we're missing, talking animals? Like we had it in The Hobbit, and then they didn't have any in Lord of the Rings, and I don't think they had them in any of the movies.
In the books, the eagles talk.
The wargs talked too.
Yes, and they completely took that out, which I think took a little bit of that away, because having these sentient creatures still fighting with these horrible twisted orcs, and they're still just being destructive because they can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I did like the creative decision to make wargs look like hyenas.
They were certainly interesting looking.
It was a choice. It was definitely a choice.
Yeah.
But I like hyenas, so that was cool.
Well, and honestly, it was a good choice because hyenas can be extremely vicious. So, hey,
Oh, yeah.
it would have been. I think it would have been better to have them look more like the wolves they're supposed to be. But then people would have been like, "Oh, they're so cute."
Yeah, that's true.
That said, I also don't think that they shouldn't have made the Defiler as smoking hot as they did. That was unnecessary.
Yes, Azog.
I mean, and also a choice giving him the name the Defiler. Yeah.
Fan fiction has been written.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think I have to go bleach my brain now.
he is awfully bleached. I'm just saying.
Oh God.
Welcome to Casters Guild, Mary.
Oh, I've dealt with worse.
We hope you enjoy your stay as a membership of our guild.
I've had worse.
Than the Defiler? I mean.
Impressive.
I realized what I said after I said it. It's
Me
like-
too. Good times. Good times.
All right. So, like Baron was just saying, our knowledge of the Silmarillion is next to nothing. So, what's your favorite story from the Silmarillion?
The Aina Lindale, the opening chapter, the music of the
yeah.
Ainur. It's some of his most beautiful work. It really is. Just the way it's written is stunning with creating the music. And it's neat because it's one of the things he has in common with C.S. Lewis. Both of their creator characters sing their world into existence.
That is a really good. That's actually another thing that, let's just say, like, I've seen that trope happen a few times. I think I've even heard of it in D&D a couple of times too.
A couple of planes of existence, I think, have been sung into existence.
Mhm.
It's a wonderful. It's a wonderful.
Well, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were good friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then Gary Gygax was just a huge fanboy.
well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you know, in the inception of role playing games and stuff like that, and you want to do something fantasy, what do you got to work with?
Yeah.
You got folklore, you got mythology, and you have this world that's already set up with distinct races that you can play as.
Let's just tweak this a little bit to make it legally distinct. Change Hobbit to Halfling.
Which I think is funny because they got sued for using the word Hobbit, switched to Halfling, but they called them Halflings too.
Mm-hmm. But it's because of the book, The Hobbit.
Yeah, because The Hobbit is a title of a book. It's not just mentioned.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, if he'd called it The Halfling, then they'd have been sued for that too. Well, honestly, Narnia is basically the Fey realm, so.
Except way less scary.
And if you consider the fact that D&D is basically based upon Lord of the Rings,
I don't.
and then every single major RPG to come out after that is basically based off of Dungeons and Dragons, it's without Lord of the Rings, like there's no RPG gaming, be it, well, maybe eventually, but definitely not as we know it.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be anywhere.
No, not to the depth it is.
No, not at all. No, Lord of the Rings has had a huge, huge impact on definitely nerd culture, but also like writing and novels and just storytelling in general. Because Tolkien is an amazing storyteller. I need to get my hands on some of those sequels that he did too.
Oh, like the Lost Tales and
yeah.
The ones that Christopher Tolkien published.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're a little bit more, mostly the history of Middle Earth. Like,
okay. Well,
it takes the stories that you see in the Silmarillion and gives you a little bit more story, like Beren and Luthien. It tells the story in Silmarillion, but it goes into a lot more depth in that particular book as to what happens between the two of them.
I was telling Mary before the start of the podcast that the only reason I knew about Beren and Luthien was because of Ready Player 2.
Oh, I still need to read that.
Oh
Me
yeah,
too,
there's a whole thing where they have to recreate a task that Beren and Luthien did, and Wade, as you know, you've read the first book, so you know Wade is never read the Silmarillion or anything outside of the main books. So Wade has no idea what to do, and him and H nearly die, and Artemis has to swoop in and save them with her knowledge.
Which I think is funny because now, you know what? Fuck it, tangent. Which I think is funny because Ready Player One was like all about the 80s. It's like all about the 80s. So why would they even know anything about Lord of the Rings? There was like The Hobbit, but still. Is there an explanation? Spoiler.
So you know how in the first book, Halliday's Easter egg hunt is all about Halliday?
Yes.
In the second book, it's all about Kira, Ogden Morrow's wife.
Oh, okay, really?
And Kira, as you may know, because of everything you may have read in the first book, no spoilers, is a huge Tolkien fan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read these now.
Oh yeah, I'm on it.
Oh, they're very good. They're very good, and they're, like I said, they're short reads. I think if you look at the audiobooks, like I think Ready Player 2 is like 9 hours as read by Will Wheaton. So it's very short.
It is not a perfect book by any means, but it is entertaining. And if especially you are between the ages around me, then it's perfect. It's great.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff they talk about in that book is stuff that I grew up with. So yeah, I loved it.
I'm younger than Rick, so 80s stuff is a little not quite there.
You'll recognize a lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, even if 80s was, you didn't grow up with the 80s. I mean, like you still know there's certain things that transcended the 80s, things like Back to the Future and Pac-Man. And, these are all things that
so many times.
I will say that the book was definitely, it seemed to be written to cater to men of my age.
Yeah.
Specifically,
there are certain things I'll admit are a little problematic about the first book.
Like I said, men of my age.
Yeah. But if you can get past that, it's still a very fun book.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that book. We're talking about Lord of the Rings.
That's very true.
Tangent.
Anyways, Ready Player One. No. Oh man.
You don't stop, because I'll find it very hard to stop talking about Ready Player One and especially when it comes to Lord of the Rings, because I'll say most of my current Lord of the Ring knowledge probably comes from Ready Player 2, because they spend quite a bit of time talking about Lord of the Rings and Ready Player 2.
That's true. Well, I will go off on a Lord of the Rings tangent. One of my, if not my favorite D&D character ever was based off of technically two characters from Lord of the Rings, Merry and Pippin. I specifically the Merry and Pippin who became knights and grew and went back and saved the Shire.
Yeah.
I had a halfling paladin, but he was like super strong for his race, because in D&D specifically, I think I was playing a D&D. But they can't get really high strength, but we fudged the rules so that I could have like an 18 double opt strength with a halfling, which is inordinately strong for a halfling. But he was a knight and he was looking to save his village and everything, and all of it was inspired by my two favorite characters in Warrior.
That is one of the best chapters, when they go back and basically clean out the Shire.
It's great. It's great. The two giant fucking halflings walking in there, which apparently hold the record for tallest halflings ever, which was held by Bull Roarer Took before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were just an inch taller than and they had a cheat. They had a cheat to do it. Bull Roarer was just naturally big. Also, I think he invented golf. Is that Bull Roarer?
It was Frodo's uncle, who I think might be Bill Roarer, who used a club to smack off the head of the Goblin King, and it went down a hole.
Yep. Played by Gerard Butler. I'm telling you, that would be great to see Bull Roarer Took as played by Gerard Butler. I'm for it. Oh wait a minute. You know what? We're gonna go off on another tangent to talk about something that is more topical and relevant and timely, the Lord of the Rings TV show.
There's the Lord of the Rings TV show?
Well, I think
it's Netflix is wanting to do something, but it's not based on any of the existing Legendarium.
Okay. See, that's what I was going to get into, is like, what is it based off of? Is it based off of something in the past? Are they doing some video game bullshit where they just make up their own timeline or in their own storyline, I mean?
I think it's supposed to be set between the book The Hobbit, when Bilbo gets back, and his birthday. It's supposed to be set in the in-between, with like the Rangers and the elves and what goes on with that. A little bit more of Aragorn's story, I guess.
And let's face it, there's a lot of time in between there. Like what?
Well,
he was 50 when he left, and then it was his 111st birthday when he disappeared.
Mm-hmm. It was. And then Frodo gets to be another 20 years older. It's almost 80 years difference between when Frodo leaves and when Bilbo has come back.
Oh crap! Yeah.
Because the start of the book, Lord of the Rings, Frodo's turning 33, which is coming of age for hobbits.
Right.
And when he leaves, he is 50, the same age as Bilbo had been.
I fucking love Hobbit so much. 33. What an arbitrary number. I fucking love it.
Yeah, according to IndieWire, the show is for Amazon. It's being made for Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And its events occur before the Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay.
And
Okay.
apparently the first season cost about $450 million to make.
That's Marvel.
insane.
That's Marvel money right there.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll see some more about the Men of Numenor.
By comparison, one season of Game of Thrones usually costs about $90 million.
But that's what I'm saying. Look up how much it costs to do WandaVision. I'm telling you, it's about the same. I still think that it'd be cool to have a TV show set around the time of Bull Roarer, so that we could probably get some stuff going on there with Gerard Butler. Just throwing it out there with Amazon.
I mean, I was actually just about to bring it up before you said that there was
tall to play Bull Roarer.
But
so is anybody who's ever played a Hobbit. Forced perspective to hear that.
True. At least you can get a little bit closer with like Tom Cruise.
can we not though? Can we not with Tom Cruise?
Likewise.
I mean, yeah, with Highwise, yeah. Fuck it, let's just bring Elijah Wood back, that beautiful little man.
WandaVision's budget for season 1 was $200 million.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's still a lot of
The
money.
first season better rock.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Especially considering I can't think of any big name talent attached to this project. This is all going to be fucking effects and location. You know what? I bet that's what it is. It's a bunch of location shots.
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
The only way to get the same location is to go back to New Zealand.
Right. Which, I mean, I guess there's a lot of tax breaks with New Zealand, but it's not. Well, that's still a lot of money. I mean, there's just no.
Yeah. How much was the film done for? Because I don't think the films might have cost about the same thing. But
keep in mind too that inflation and that was different money.
Yeah. That's good Lord. It's been so long since the movies were made.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I was a teenager.
I think Peter Jackson filmed in his backyard too, so that's probably a discount from that.
Fellowship of the Ring cost $93 million.
Well, you know what? Even with inflation, still.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Yeah, and I'm looking this stuff up, and when I looked at the WandaVision one, I saw a bunch of articles where when they announced that WandaVision's budget was going to be $200 million, everyone freaked out. They were like, "Why would you spend that much on a show? What are you spending that money on?" Like this and that, and nobody really got it until you got to about episode 4, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is where the money went." But even still, for them to spend $450 million on the first season of the Lord of the Rings show, that's pure insanity.
And it's also how much do the rights cost? Because the rights probably are not cheap.
The first Hobbit movie, which is closer in time,
right?
Was $180 million, but for the entire trilogy, the budget for the Hobbit trilogy was $745 million. So for 3 whole movies, this TV series gets half of that budget.
That's nuts. Now I definitely want to see it. Make sure it's good.
There better be literal hobbits in it. Literal. made a machine to go to just punch a hole through the alternate universes, grabbed a hobbit, brought his dainty ass back over, and be like, act now.
And then he just turned invisible and they lost him. And then half the budget was just trying to find the hobbit.
I've lost more hobbits that way, let me tell you. Terrifying. And you hear in your house, it's crazy. See, that's what it is. That when you hear that creak in your house, that's not your house settling. That's that hobbit that you lost.
It's the lost hobbit.
The lost hobbit. Oh, you know what? The Guild Decree.
Okay. Guild Decree. Say it all together there, Baron.
Guild Decree. When you're in your house and you hear that little creak in your house, that's not your house settling. That's not a ghost. That is a lost hobbit trying to find his way home, and he just happened to be going through your house. Guild decree. I am making you write that down.
Oh, I'm going to. It's going to be there.
That's probably our silliest guild decree, but you know what? My whole heart is behind it right now.
So this is definitely has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. But have either of you heard of Forest Gully Farms?
Yes.
No.
But because of you.
Forest Gully Farms is in Tennessee, very near to where I live, and it is basically a recreation of the Shire. There are hobbit holes and different homes that you can rent and stay in, and you can have events there. And Tiffany and I are hoping when we reach our 20-year anniversary that we will do a vow renewal at Forest Gully Farms. So I'm very excited.
How far?
Even though we just hit 13th anniversary, so we got about 7 years to go.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, I know where I'm going on my next vacation when I can finally travel out of state again.
Right? I kind of want to go down and run a D&D game down there.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Right out of a hobbit hole.
Yep. Do a one-shot. We could actually do the Lord of the Rings role-playing game.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about it too.
Good. It is good. It's not as fantastic as like D&D. It does, I mean, you know what I mean by that. Not like, great, but I mean, it's like, it's weird that D&D is more fantasy than Lord of the Rings.
Right.
You see, yeah. So
it is weird. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to be understood there.
Yeah. No, I 100% understand what you're saying, and you're right. It is weird.
Yeah. I wonder where they got all that from. Like all those fucking spells, and man, they just went balls to the wall in that game. They're just like, we're going to do some goofy shit, and there's going to be hobbits too.
It's just been around for too long. Like you stay around for that long and get that many people's hands in it, and like so many people have played it for so long.
But even like first edition had some of those crazy wizard spells and stuff.
Well, that was just because everybody wanted to be a crazy wizard. Gary Gygax has Mordenkainen, and he has his friend Bigby and Tasha, and all those legendary D&D wizards was just Gary Gygax and his original party. And everybody wanted to be Gandalf, but they also wanted to do crazy ass spells. So they're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna write crazy ass spells.
And you know what? And I'm gonna say this, and I'm actually kind of feeling bad that I wasted my well, you know what? I wouldn't be able to do it anyways. I kind of want to erase Elminster. Just get him out of here. He's dumb. I hate Elminster. Sorry, Ed.
Not a fan?
No, he's ridiculous. He's too everybody from that little story is just way too powerful. Way too powerful. The final world people, way too powerful. Come on. Doesn't even make sense. Why are they so strong?
Well, you were just talking about how strong Gandalf and the rest of his kind were. Yeah. So, if that's what they were trying to be.
But they dumbed themselves down. They were just like, oh, no, I'm not powerful and stuff. And then I killed a Balrog. And, oh, no, I'm not all that.
Well, the Maiar were creatures of the Ainur, who served Iluvatar. So they're still not super powerful, but they can do a couple things. But Gandalf is powerful because the flame. He has the flame in his staff, that light.
Uh-huh.
The living flame is one of the things that he says when he's fighting the Balrog, and it's the flame imperishable, the light of Iluvatar. That's what makes him so strong, why he can come back from death.
So he's just got a really awesome magic item.
Basically.
I do want to say this. If I was Aragorn, and I'm standing on the battlefield with Gandalf, and the fight wasn't over, I would seriously have to give him a stern look. Because it's like, oh no, they have cave trolls. Really, Gandalf? You think I forgot the Balrog thing? You came back from that, buddy. You killed it. You came back. You know what? I don't even know if you died. Only you know that you died. Did you die? I don't know. You killed it. You found us. You changed your clothes. You came back. You killed a fucking Balrog, buddy. You worried about a cave troll? We need to have a serious talk. We can't hide that shit from me anymore.
The Balrogs were also servants of the flame. They were Maiar, who were twisted by Melkor, who became Morgoth, to serve him. So they were also Maiar. So it's a pretty even battle between two Maiar.
But put yourself in Aragorn's shoes. You fell down a hole with a Balrog, and you're back, and you look better than
And
ever.
you haven't resolved this yet. No.
Somebody's got to
Nothing's
step
been
back.
resolved yet.
Somebody's got to lay back and let Legolas show off for a while.
Oh, you know what? That's another thing.
Oh,
Legolas.
goodness.
Can we talk about Legolas for a little bit? He's a Mirkwood
What,
elf.
like him just running across the snow in the mountains?
Cute, but he's a Mirkwood elf, right?
Yeah.
I distinctly remember the Mirkwood elves from The Hobbit. And when I saw Legolas in the movie, I'm like, this is not what I envisioned at all. Like,
No, they made them very different than they are in the books. Even Thranduil is very different than how he's described in The Hobbit. But the guy that plays him in the movie is phenomenal.
Very much. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and I know. I'm just so like because I went from just Legolas, and then I was like, oh, now I'm thinking of the Mirkwood elves from the books, and then translate that into the movie Mirkwood elves, and now I'm stuck on Evangeline Lilly and that garbage fire of a.
Take us through your thought process, Baron.
Rick, why does it hurt so much? Rick, it's because it was real. It's because it was real, Rick. I watched it with my eyes.
I saw it happen. You can't tell me it didn't happen.
Oh my god.
Don't try to erase my truth.
Oh, and that's another thing. I'm very upset with The Hobbit, the Hobbit movie, because they took away one of my favorite characters from the Almighty Johnsons. I know. Okay. Anyways, Keely. Wait, which one was the blonde? I don't know. We're going with Feely. Anyways, Feely was on a TV show that I love to watch called The Almighty Johnsons, and when he was, it was so bad. When he was recording for The Hobbit, they took away his character from the show. But once in a while, he would do like a little drop-in guest spot, but he'd be like his character was traveling across the world doing stuff. But one of the spots that showed him and he had a beard and everything, I'm like, these motherfuckers. These motherfuckers. Oh, man. Good show, though. Almighty Johnson's great. Gave me one of my favorite words. Root. It's fun.
The only thing I absolutely hated about the Hobbit films was the love story between Tariel and I can't even remember whether it was Feely or Keely.
Well, I said the blonde was
Like
Feely.
that-
I'm going to go with Keely. Don't look it up, Rick.
Yeah.
I'm not.
One of the twins.
So that's what I was talking about. It's, oh my god. Evangeline Lilly is the woman who plays her. And it...
Mhm.
Like, I had no problem with her as an actress. I had no problem with that character. The character was great. It was just a female Legolas, really, if you want to boil it down.
Yeah.
But that whole storyline was just ridiculous. However, the fabulousness that is Thranduil, I am definitely thirsting after a bunch of these dudes in these movies. He's very sassy. Love it.
My mom and I love the scene when he's talking to Thorin Oakenshield about fighting the dragons of the north, and his face changes to show the burn marks and his blind eye. It's so cool.
Yeah, that was
one of my favorite effects in the movie.
That was very cool. They didn't talk about it. I think that's what I liked about that. They didn't talk about it after. There was no really build up to it. It was just you see it, and everybody just assumes they know what's going on. Like the characters know what's going on, but they don't give us any kind of exposition for it. I'm okay with that.
Nope.
I'm okay. Obviously, shit went down, and you're not ready to talk about it. I'll wait.
I will say about Thorin Oakenshield that when the Hobbit movies came out, the internet kind of blew up a little bit about his height. That he was 5'2", apparently.
The character or the actor?
The character.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He is very
and
tall.
I have to say, like I've always fit other than the height, the build of a dwarf. I got the beard. I've got the hair. I've got the, for lack of a better term, girth of a dwarf. I think Gimli would be proud. But I always thought I was way too tall. And now you're telling me that if I just crouched a little bit, just a little bit, then I'm the height of a dwarf too? Why not?
Yep.
From now on, any Ren fair I go to, I'm just a dwarf. I'm not a man with a long beard. I am a dwarf. I'm just a tall dwarf.
I'm just saying, Rick, if we drop down in the middle of a dwarven encampment or a dwarven city, we'd just be a little taller than everybody else. That's it.
Well, and I guess for me, one of the crazy things with their relationship is it honestly would never have worked because, well, elves and men are the children of Iluvatar. The dwarves were created by one of the Ainur, Aule, because he was impatient for the children of Iluvatar to show up. And Iluvatar was just really nice about it and was like, yeah, I'll let you keep them. You've already taught them language. You've given them their own personalities and identities, but they have to go take a nap until I'm ready for them.
Nice. And then from a storyteller's perspective, I honestly think that romance between the two of them takes a lot away from the relationship of Gimli and Legolas. Now,
yeah, I think it does.
They try to make it seem like, oh, Legolas learned a little something from this, and that's the only reason why him and Gimli were friends. And it's like, yeah, but...
Well, and it takes away from, at the end of the book, at the end of Return of the King, when Bilbo and Frodo have already gone to the Undying Lands, but one of the official last ships that leaves has Legolas and Gimli going to the Undying Lands together.
Yeah.
On the same ship. It's really very sweet.
Just bros being bros. I love it.
They end up having such a great relationship that just morphs throughout the whole books that is just kind of marred by having that in the Hobbit films, I think.
Yeah. They just tried to take way too much, I think. They tried to over-explain things, and it's like, just let it be. You let the dude have a fucked up face and not explain that. Why do we have to explain all this other shit? Let it.
Why are you even bringing in an outside character that doesn't exist in the Legendarium?
Yeah, totally unnecessary. You know what? You know what would have been better? Okay, you know what? I get it. I get what they were trying to do because they brought in Arwen, who, you know, is an established character, but in no way as involved as she was. But they wanted that character back. They wanted that same kind of character in this to bring in like a female perspective. Because, you know, let's face it, the Hobbit story is very dude friendly. There's a lot of dudes in there.
Lord of the Rings is just a whole bunch of guys traveling.
Right. But that's why they brought Arwen in. Is they needed to put in like a love interest and like a female. I don't want to say perspective. Influence.
They wanted to add a little bit of romance to the adventure by
Yes.
pulling in Arwen's storyline with her the romantic storyline of her, not just
right.
What the majority of the book, she's not really shown as Aragorn's romantic interest. It's actually in the appendices that you hear their story.
See,
and they're cousins.
Yeah, but you know, European centric. Yeah.
It's many generations. Elrond, at the end of the First Age, him and his twin brother Elros were given a choice to either be human because they were half-elves or elven. Elrond chose to stay with the elves. Elros became the first king of the Numenor, who, down the line, Aragorn. So there's generations in between. There's the whole Second Age and most of the Third Age between the two of them, but still the idea that there's some relation there is just a little weird. Because Isildur was his like great nephew, was Elrond's like great nephew or something.
Oh, European centric nobility.
Well, I mean, he would have had his parents would have been Tolkien's parents were under the reign of Queen Victoria, who married her cousin. So
yeah,
she is the grandmother of European royalty, basically. So I guess that's a historic basis for the two of them.
Yeah. Oh my god, how did we get started on this? Oh boy, that was like a whole bunch of tangents.
I do love their story though. Like that's
Yeah.
why
That's
why Arwen can make the choice to be human is
Mhm.
because she is partially human.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. But where was I? Okay, I think I was gonna. So the fake relationships we got. And I think that it's been a really, really common thing I've noticed. A really common thing on the internet to really there's been a tendency to ship people. And in shipping, apparently it always has to be some kind of romantic or sexual based thing. And boy, people love to ship people in the Lord of the Rings. But I will say this. I think that while I love the aspect of romance, I love the aspect of relationships and stuff like that, I really think that Lord of the Rings showcases something that we in the modern age have lost, and that is close, loving relationships between men. Men have turned love and relationships into something that is supposed to be sexual, and any kind of relationship, close relationship you have with another man is to be looked down upon. At least, it's getting better.
Yeah.
But I think Lord of the Rings,
we are encroaching on the age of the bromance.
Yes, but I think that's what in fact, actually, I think Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit in general have actually influenced a lot of the ways I see friendships and how I am able to have close relationships with people and have it not be stigmatized and not worry about it being stigmatized.
It's easier for me because I'm female.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sitting next to another girl and we're leaning on each other, no one cares.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But men aren't. Well, again, when I was growing up, men aren't supposed to be tender. They're not supposed to be physical with their dude friends at the very least. And if you're physical with a female, then it's sexual. And it's like, why though? It's like, why can't I give my friends hugs? Why can't I sit on the couch and cuddle with a friend while we watch a movie and not have to worry about people thinking that we're going to get it on? I love that about Lord of the Rings, that they have those close, like Sam and Frodo, so close. I mean, they are beautifully close. And I haven't seen any indication that they would have any kind of sexual undertones to what they were doing. Well, except for maybe in the movies. Got a little intense there for a little while. But
in the movies, it really depends on how you look at it. But it kind of just shows. It kind of just proves your point, because a lot of people do say that they see that in the movies, but it's just because that kind of relationship, if you have two men in that kind of relationship, people just automatically assume, oh, they must be gay and they must, have feelings for one another. But the fact that people say that about the movie just kind of proves your point.
Right. I always thought Bilbo and Frodo, completely asexual. I don't think they have a sexual bone in their body, literally. I mean, really. I mean, what? Bilbo grew up perfectly happy into his old age without ever taking.
Yeah, he never married.
Correct. Yeah, and then Frodo. Yeah, Frodo never married, right?
Nope. No, he didn't.
Right.
That's why in the end everything goes to the Sackville Bagginses.
Oh, did it? Oh, I missed that. Oh, that makes me unreasonably angry.
He finally got the spoons.
Oh, I'd have burned that hole to the ground before the Sackville Bagginses got their hands on them. Ooh.
Yep. He leaves everything to them.
Oh, this whole story's been ruined for me. I'm never reading another one. I'll watch this show too, but still, it's going to be tainted knowing that them Sackville Baggins are going to get their hands on them. Oh, and he was so rich too. They got all that money. Oh,
he left a good part of it to Sam, Mary, Pippin, all of them. But house and the
They got
things
the house.
in it go to the Sackville Bagginses. They get Bag End.
I'm still really salty about that, but I'm glad they didn't get all the shit. Oh man,
Well, for as many times you tried to sneak the spoons out.
Rick, I lost my cool there for a second.
I know. I
Oh,
think I found that extra entertaining just because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, man. I'd have given it to the proud. I'd have given it to the proud feet before them fucking Sackville Baggins has got their hands on it.
Oh, the Proud Feet are just as bad, though.
Yeah, I know,
But they're not related to them, so.
But are they though? I mean, the Sackville Baggins.
It's
The Proud
it's
Feet
a
didn't
toss-up
do
as to whether
anything.
the Sackville Bagginses are related to them. Oh, I just ruined everything for you.
Maybe the Tooks. Give it to the Tooks. Come on, why? They're related. You don't have to give it to the
Yeah,
Baggins.
they're both Tooks and Brandy Bucks. So
Yeah, but at least Bilbo is related to the Tooks, so he could be like, "Here, I'm related to you. Take it." Not the Baggins.
yeah, and they're related to the Brandy Bucks.
Are they? Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah, his mother was a Took. Bilbo's mother was a Took, and I think one of her parents was a Brandy Buck.
Mhm.
Just like Frodo's mother
Oh.
was a Took.
right. Well, yeah, because Merry and Pippin are cousins.
Merry and Pippin are cousins, and they're also related to Frodo through blood and different connections. It's a little convoluted. Like
Peregrine. Yeah.
Pippin is like his first cousin,
Right.
but Merry is his first cousin through marriage somehow.
But it's Pippin's cousin through blood.
Yes,
Oh.
they share a grandparent.
Oh, Rick, why? But
Nerds!
And Privet.
point being, the Sackville Bagginses should have never gotten Bag End. Now they're the Bag End Bagginses, and I don't like it.
Well, they were the only Bagginses left
For those of you listening to the podcast,
because
Baron is
Bilbo and
giving
Frodo don't have any children. So
Frodo should have adopted Sam.
Oh, it's okay. Don't cry, Baron. It'll be all right.
I will find Bag End, and I will burn it to the ground.
It's in New Zealand somewhere, I'm sure.
The Sackville Baggins is inside. I will never call them the Bag End Baggins. They are not. They will always be from Sackville, that dirty, rotten part of the Shire.
We're gonna a year from now
Poor
when
Baron.
Baron can travel again, we're gonna see headlines of some hill in New Zealand burning.
Oh, some
Cast will be used as evidence.
arsonist at
Oh, I need to take back my
I think I broke him.
I have an unreasonable hatred of those little people.
Apparently, I didn't realize. That looks like a wound that was opened for you, and then salt rubbed in it.
They're basically the worst
scraped off
in-laws
a very-
ever.
Yeah,
We just scraped off a very deep scab.
Yeah, they're basically the worst in-laws ever.
yeah, that's legit. Yeah.
You're still grumbling. like a quarter of this podcast is going to be Sackville Baggins' hate.
I would have found Bomber, and I would have given it to Bomber, his old dwarf ass. I don't care. Fit in that hole. I did.
I apologize, dear listeners. Baron is now too grumpy to talk about anything else other than how much he hates the Sackville Bagginses.
I blame Tolkien. I blame Tolkien. Boy howdy. Boy howdy. I'm definitely probably gonna have to find some outlets to write out my hate of this, and I will probably dump it in the toxic hole that is Tumblr, and
So here's an interesting question. Gandalf the Grey tomorrow shows up at your door
gone.
and says, We have to go on an adventure.
Not even waiting on the doors. I'm gone.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going.
Gone. It's like, wait, Gandalf, wait.
For the most part, he has a good track record of everyone surviving.
That's true. But I'd be like, Gandalf, wait. Are we fighting a dragon? Or are we finding those dirty fucking Sackville Baggins and lighting their toe hairs on fire? Is that what we're doing, Gandalf?
And then he just gives you a little wink behind his pipe, just like...
Gandalf, are you here to bequeath Baggin to me? Because I will clear that bitch out, let me tell you. Boy. Yeah, I mean, I think that, thinking about it in a fantasy light, I don't have a child to worry about. I don't have responsibilities. I don't have a dog that's going to starve to death if I leave. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'd go in a heartbeat. Hell yeah. I wouldn't even ask him what we're doing. He's like, you want to go on an adventure? Yes. You want to know what it is? No.
I'd love to go. Regular life is a little boring at the moment.
Hell yeah, take me, Beard Daddy. We're going to do this. Let's do this. And let's face it, Ian McKellen would love it if I called him that.
Yeah, probably.
He probably would.
Now, my luck, though, he would show up. He'd be like, do you want to go on an adventure? Yes. Cool. I'm going to get about 12 more of you, and then we're going to go to the main character's house.
Yeah, he picks up you and me. He'd be like, all right, 2 of my dozen dwarves.
God damn. I'm the comedic relief, aren't I? Yeah. Fuck. All right.
As long as I'm not the one who dies. Like, I'm not like
That's
the expendable
really the only
one,
reason
am I?
Buffer and Bomber were there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Bomber, which I think is cool that they kept him the comedic relief from the books straight into the movies. Like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
I actually, you know what? That's one of the few things I liked better in the movies was Bomber.
He got a little bit more screen time than he does book time.
Yes.
And
We got to see the face behind the sarcophagus.
Oh, yeah. The scene where they're going down the river fighting the orcs, and he's in the barrel, and he's rolling down the hill, and both arms pop out of the barrel with different weapons, and he just starts spinning like crazy.
I will say that whole scene was a little hard to swallow, but the Bomber scene really made it for me. Like the whole going down the river in the barrels.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
They're dwarves. Do they even float?
Yeah, I mean, they did. They did in the books, but it was nowhere. It's like they're just floating down the river in the books.
Yeah, nothing exciting happens during that river trip.
Which, I mean, my God, they could have cut down so much runtime if they were like, okay, get in the barrel, push, and then like fast forward to the end of the river. Oh no, we're so sore and sick from being like, oh, we could just cut out 30 minutes.
They had to have the fight because Keeley had to get injured so Tariel could heal him when they're in Rivertown.
Baron, this podcast is an audio form of media. Please stop giving us all the gold in the faces that you're making. All of our audience is completely missing out on it.
Who do I hate more, the Sackville Bagginses or that relationship? Oh my god, if I find out that she was actually a Sackville Baggins, I would never... I would believe it. Because it was real, Rick. It was real. Oh.
You saw it happen with your own eyes. I get it. It'll be okay, Big Cat. It'll be okay.
Oh.
Oh, where's Azog when you need him? Whew. Okay, I'm back. Just forgot when things happen, we're good. So we're talking about Ready Player One?
And all the way back around. Okay.
What do you think of how they did Rivertown in the Hobbit films?
I didn't like it, and I can't give you a real reason why. I can't. The Weasley guy, I wasn't a fan of. I can't remember the character's name. I can't stand the Weasley. I liked Bard.
I know who you're talking about, though.
Okay, cool. I liked Bard. The mayor was over the top, and I could have done without him. They really fucked with humans in this one, I think. Like, it's like, oh, we have elves, we have dwarves. We really need to do something to make these humans stand out. It's like, no, you really don't. You really don't. That's not the point of the humans. The humans are fucking boring. Leave them the fuck alone. It's like, you make humans all crazy and outlandish. You're losing the specialness of the elves, and leave the humans alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think,
a little funny, but that's it.
And I don't remember if the mayor and the Weasley guy are even in the books.
I don't think so either.
Or they might just be vaguely mentioned, but
yeah, all I remember is Bard.
I do like the character of Bard.
Yeah, Bard was great. I mean, the whole crossbow thing, again, it's like, you want to make these things all over the top, but then you're going to give him a fucking crossbow. It's like, no, this motherfucker shot out of a bow. He shot that arrow out of it. Wasn't even a special arrow, was it? It was just a regular arrow. I mean,
I don't remember.
A special bow.
I found my copy of The Hobbit.
I think it was like a bow that was handed down through the family, but I don't remember.
No, I think it was just an amazing shot.
Yes, I know that it boiled down to him being an amazing shot. Because yeah, I mean, the whole point is that dragon had one weak spot. So to turn that into like a special fucking arrow, it's like, okay, you're like missing the entire point now. Missing the entire point.
Yeah.
And then even then, wasn't even like a weak spot. It's like someone ripped a part off or some shit like that.
Yeah, it was
Right.
the missing scale.
In the years when Smaug first came, the Lord of Dale, who was Bard's great-great-grandfather, used the dwarves' windlance, according to them, the movie.
Right.
Using the black arrow to somehow manage to knock off one scale. How's that even work? How do you knock off one scale without actually penetrating flesh?
Mm.
I mean, stranger things have happened, I'm sure, but
You'd have to be very specific with your grazing blow.
yeah, but okay. The crossbow made for some amazing like cinematography. It had great camera shots and stuff like that. So I mean, I guess I could see it, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe they didn't want him to be like, oh, he has a bow and he's shooting like an elf, and everybody's gonna think he's an elf. I hate it when studio execs think that we are the stupidest fucking people watching these movies.
Yes, because
Yeah.
only elves can use bows.
Right, because they would do some shit like that, wouldn't they? They're like, oh, we can't use a bow. Elves use bows. It's like, can you hear yourself right now? Just burn the movie.
Burn it all down. Throw it in the bag end.
I know you just spent all this money on Ben Diddley Cucumber, but we can just throw it all away. Just throw it all away.
Look, a quarter of that movie's budget was spent turning Benedict Cumberbatch into a dragon. Half of the budget was spent convincing him to turn back after they were done.
That's fair.
Smaug is one of my favorite villains, honestly.
I mean, in the books, he was amazing. I know that he has to have some kind of backstory somewhere.
Oh
Maybe-
yeah, it'd be great to have his backstory. Why did he go to the Lonely Mountain other than wanting the Arkenstone? There had to be something else, because most of the fire drakes came from the north near Angband.
And I know that.
So why did he go all that way?
And I know this is a horrible segue, and I know we just started talking about Smaug, but you just brought up. Can we talk about how fucking massive the dragons are in Lord of the Rings, or in that world?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they're huge. There's one in the Silmarillion that he's like an ice dragon. He's a white Terra dragon, so he's earthbound. He doesn't have wings, and he fights the dwarves and man, and he's really scary, honestly, because he just tears through them.
yeah, there's like, you're just reading some of the descriptions of the dragons in these stories. It's like, there is no conceivable way that you won this fight. Like, no way. The only way that you won is there had to have been some fucking wizard action, some actual godly intervention. It's a huge, like,
Yeah, they're pretty. Even the one in Silmarillion, that the juvenile that comes down from Angband into Middle Earth and fights the elves. even he's a massive creature and he's young.
Yeah, it's like it's just reading about some of those dragons and then reading about Smaug. It's like, was he a baby? I get that he's big, but I mean, he's nowhere near as big as some of these dragons that they were fucking explaining in these books.
Oh yeah, the truly ancient ones.
Yeah, that's what it was. Smaug, he wasn't there for any other
He was
reason.
basically a baby in comparison to some of them.
He threw a fucking tantrum. That's what it was.
Well, if you ask me, I mean, like, once again, I don't know a whole lot about Lord of the
You have to go find some gold to curl up on.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about Lord of the Rings, but I do know a lot about Dungeons and Dragons, especially when it comes to chromatic dragons. I only have a red dragon tattooed on my entire forearm. Okay. The thing about a red dragon, and it's arguable that the red dragons are 100% their inspiration of their entire personality is taken from Smaug.
Right.
Oh yeah.
If you are a player character who owns a magic item that is rare enough and powerful enough to have a name, there is a red dragon somewhere who knows your name. And you just have to hope that that red dragon doesn't get bored enough to come find you because you have something that it wants.
Oh yeah, they hoard everything.
So that's all it takes for a red dragon to go somewhere is you have something, it wants that thing, it's coming to get it.
Well, that was the explanation for Smaug was he was after Arkenstone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's
he wanted the Arkenstone.
If Smaug is anything like a red dragon from D&D, then that's all the explanation that's needed. Is there was something there that he wanted.
Well, like if you go back to Beowulf, the green dragoness, Beowulf fights at the end of the epic poem as a green dragon. I know in D&D, green dragons are poisonous.
Again, Beowulf, huge influence on D&D, but also a huge influence on Tolkien too. Yeah, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that's how he'd start his class. Was he would read that in the original Anglo-Saxon. And it's the basis for a lot of the language that he uses in the books.
I have his translation of Beowulf.
Oh, I have been trying to find it everywhere.
Amazon.
It's so hard to find.
Amazon. I think
Really?
they did. Yeah, it's paperback.
Nice.
It's not bad.
I have a copy of a translation here, but it's not all that great.
Yeah, get this whole thing. You read Beowulf?
I'm sorry?
I don't think I've read the whole thing through, but I've read excerpts, and what the excerpts I've read, I do really enjoy.
See, I watched the Mud Show, and that was all I needed. What?
You were actually gonna take me to that Mud Show, but I think we missed it.
Yeah, we did.
Like we got there just after it was over because we misunderstood the scheduling.
Yeah, which was really easy to do because I was on zero sleep. So
yeah.
And I have no idea what y'all are talking about.
So if you ever, well, I don't know if every Ren Fair that does it, but my local, our Ren Fair has a thing called a Mud Show, and it's three guys that are dressed up like medieval peasants, and they're doing play, but where they're doing the play is just a big mud pit. So they'll do the play, and then they'll fall down in the mud, and they'll throw mud, and like the big thing that they do in the beginning is they take this big glop of mud, throw it, and it hits the mud, and then they count how far back the mud droplets went, and then they're like, it's an 8-row show. But one of the ones they do.
That is not something they do at the Maryland Renaissance.
Well, I mean,
the Maryland Renaissance Fair is a very clean Renaissance Fair comparatively to the Renaissance fairs I've been to.
I was about to say if Maryland
agreed.
They probably take their shit way too seriously.
Oh yes.
Well, they set it in a specific year each year of King Henry's reign. Every year is a different year.
Oh, okay.
And they go based on whatever year it is, whether Catherine is still queen or the year that I went, he's just started his courtship with Anne Boleyn, or they're just getting ready to get married. Yeah, their stuff is serious. It's a lot of fun though.
It's a really great fair.
They're very clean. They're very clean. I would like to get to some more around the country.
Oh yeah, there's a few that I want to go to.
Tennessee's isn't great, but one thing I will give it is there's an actual castle.
Oh,
nice.
Because the whole reason there is a Tennessee Renaissance Fair is because there's a guy, and he married a woman, and her one wish was to live in a castle, so he built her a castle. And on the grounds that he owns is where they hold the Tennessee Renaissance Fair.
Nice. Yeah, the closest I've gotten to a Renaissance Fair recently is the SCA. So.
Oh, man, I'm gonna have to talk to my friend Stuart again. There's a online Renaissance Fair.
What?
Yeah, I will get the information to both of you.
Oh yeah, definitely, please.
And actually, hopefully, I'll get the information before we post this, so we can put it in the description.
Link in the description.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently you can. It's almost like a video game where you can like kind of walk around, go into different booths, and like when you go into the booth, there's an actual like you can watch a performance by somebody there, or like if you go to one of the vendor shops, you can visit their online shop and buy stuff. I was like, that sounds, and I haven't been there. He told me about it, and I didn't go, so it will all be just kind of hearsay. But I mean, he's performed on it. So
that's super neat.
Yeah, that is really cool.
So yeah, once I get that information, I'll get it to you guys. We'll put a link in the description. Definitely. I know this is way past Lord of the Rings, but again, I'm a big supporter of artists and performers, especially on the small scale. So if I can help them out, then by all means, I'm going to.
Oh yeah, it certainly sounds interesting.
Not to mention the Venn diagram between Lord of the Rings fans and people who like to go to Ren fairs. It's practically a circle.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. I saw more Goldberry cosplays when I went than anything else, and hobbits. Hobbits and elves seem to be the most popular.
I've never seen a Goldberry cosplay. I've actually seen more Tom Bombadil cosplays.
I saw a couple Tom Bombadil, but I saw a lot of blondes in green dresses everywhere.
I was about to say, maybe I have seen Goldberry cosplays, but I didn't know they were cosplays.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
No, I've actually,
for a lot of the men in Renaissance Fair, just an excuse for to get drunk and dress in the prettiest dress you can find.
Oh,
so
man.
that's basically it.
I got so drunk at the
unless it's pouring rain, and then you're all just tromping around in your boots and mud.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
The Queen's tea just hit me so.
It was real.
It was real.
Saw it with your own eyes.
I had to have someone drive home. I don't know what they were. No, I'm kidding. Still, it was rough. I need to go back for more. I will go back to the Ren Fair, kid free, and make a fool out of myself.
The crisis has not been kind to any of us this past year.
No.
The Tennessee Ren Fair is actually open again this year.
Yeah, I think they're opening the Maryland one. I don't know about the one here in Virginia.
The Ohio one. There's one in Virginia?
Yeah, that's where I live.
No, I mean, but...
There's one, I think, in Richmond. It's small.
Oh, Richmond. Okay. I don't know why my brain went straight to Hampton Roads. I mean, I do know why. But yeah. But I also know that there are more places than just Hampton Roads, so I don't know why I just restricted it to that. I can see a nice one happening in Richmond.
Baird and I met in Virginia, like near the Navy base, so Hampton Roads area. So you say Virginia, and both of us, that's immediately where our mind goes.
Yeah.
Well, I get that. No, I'm a little bit further south. I'm actually closer to Tennessee.
You're north of Hampton Roads.
I'm on the way west side of Virginia.
Are you in the city part or are you in the country part?
I'm in Lynchburg. I'm in the mountains. I'm in the Blue Ridge.
I said it just as you said it. I was like, or the mountain part.
I'm
the state of like 8 different biomes.
Yeah. Oh, it's a blast. Now you mentioned Tom Bombadil, and every time I think of him, all I can ever think about is when he rescues the hobbits from is he an oak? That oak tree?
The willow tree.
Yes, Old Man Willow that tries to eat them.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the Barrow Wit, which always gave me nightmares.
It messed up a lot of people that I talked to.
Yeah, it's freaky. Like that's a little bit on the horror side with the Barrowitz.
Yep.
Tolkien knew how to balance some fantasy and some horror.
Well, I mean, to be fair, too, though, I mean, with his use of folklore and stuff like that, there is plenty of horror in folklore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's half, if not 75% of folklore.
Good point. Grimm's fairy tales.
Mhm.
Oof. The original Grimm's fairy tales are dark.
And they were even taking it easy.
Oh yeah, they toned it down a lot. But yeah, some of those stories, yeah, they were horror stories in and of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I know quite a few people who got nightmares from the giant spiders and things like that.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
That was a good translation, I think, from book to movie. The spider scene.
Oh yeah.
Because I think the spiders even talked. Didn't they?
Sheila, she kind of talks, but not really. Not like Ungoliant does in Silmarillion, but still.
I'm talking about in The Hobbit.
Oh yeah, they do talk when he has the ring. He can understand them through the ring because they're speaking the language of Mordor, I think.
Is that how it was in the book too?
I
thought the spiders.
know it is in the
Regardless, it's cool that you got to see that in the movie too. I don't know. I'm a sucker for talking animals, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that he's got talking creatures at some point. He's got everything else thrown in there. Talking and walking trees.
Yeah, everything talks and walks in that world.
I love Treebeard. He's one of my favorite characters too. And everybody forgets that his real name is Fangorn. The forest is his. Fangorn's forest.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love Tolkien in his dual naming system.
Well, his true name would take several hours to say in Entish.
Yeah.
True. Because everything worth saying in Old Entish is worth saying slowly.
Oh, what a good choice to have John Rhys Davies do his voice too.
Oh, yeah. That was... When I realized who it was, that blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
He had the perfect voice for it.
He's just an amazing actor, and I wish that he could do more stuff. Like, probably literally my favorite part of Raiders of the Lost Ark was
Oh!
Also, very few people know this. He was the first on-screen Kingpin from Marvel Comics.
Really? I did not know that.
He looked terrible.
Don't often see him as a villain.
No. It was in the Incredible Hulk, one of the Incredible Hulk movies with Lou Ferrigno, and Daredevil was a special guest star, and the Kingpin was in there. It was a mess. Don't watch it.
Everything from back then was a mess when it comes to Marvel.
But people loved it so much. Loved it.
They didn't know any better.
Oh, I remember going to see Daredevil in theaters. And I look back and it's like, it was so bad.
Oh yeah.
It was really bad. They really made up for it though. With the TV show.
The Netflix series.
Oh my God, it's so good. So good. I hope if nobody else comes out of those shows, I hope they bring the guy that played Kingpin.
Oh man.
His name?
I don't know the name.
Anyway.
But you're right.
If
I mean, like he was fantastic.
Oh my God, he was perfect. But anyways.
So tell us something else we don't know about the Silmarillion, because that's obviously where the gaps in both of our knowledge lie.
That's not fair.
Well, you guys know that it's basically the creation story of Arda, Middle Earth.
Yes, we know.
But it goes into when the elves go, but Fëanor, who's the creator of the Silmarils, he is a villain just as much as Morgoth is, because Morgoth steals the Silmarils and Fëanor just goes off the deep end, and that's one of the biggest chunks of the book is him just going off the deep end. He blames the Ainur for everything, even though it was his own mistakes and his own jealousy that kept him from fixing the trees that Morgoth had destroyed that had given light to Arda. And he makes this vow, him and his sons, to destroy anyone that stands in their way. And it results in one of the worst massacres in the history of the Eldar, where they just kill all the Teleri for the ships, and they take their ships and sail across the sea, the Western Sea, and then burn them. They have a barbecue on the beach.
Oh,
And it's just Feanor just basically
Burns-
burning everything in his path to get the Cimmerals back, and then he dies before he gets them back.
son of a bitch.
And that's where Baron comes in.
I do not.
Baron and Luthien. That's where he comes in. He gets the Cimmerals back, but he also dies. But he comes back as well with Luthien.
Oh.
But one of the reasons he can come back is, one, the Cimmerals, but two, he has to make a promise to never speak to mortal man again. And it goes through a lot of the history, like the founding of Gondolin, the fall of Gondolin, that are kind of developed more in the books that Christopher Tolkien published, like the fall of Gondolin, the story of Beren and Luthien. It's a lot of short stories kind of compiled together until Christopher Tolkien fleshed them out using History of Middle-earth.
Christopher Tolkien, he's done so much for.
Oh gosh, he really has. He brought his father's legacy back to the forefront of literature.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, if it wasn't for him, we definitely wouldn't have gotten any movies.
Oh no, he was the one that got them to agree to release the rights for the movies, but they had to be done a certain way, and he had some say in how the movies were done. But I don't think even he was happy with the final product of the films.
I mean, probably not. I mean, I can definitely see where he might have. Like, I mean, if it was my dad's work, and it's something that I was overseeing to keep his legacy alive, and to keep it, what he wanted to showcase and stuff like that. To see what happened with it from his perspective, I can see how he wouldn't be happy.
Well, one of the neat things is he goes into a little bit more of it in History of Middle-earth. He talks about why his father started writing the stories down, because it started as a story that he was telling Christopher at night, but little details would change, like the color of Bilbo's front door, whether it was green or yellow, or how many dwarves there were. And he eventually was like, screw it, I'm going to have to write this all down. And you ended up with The Hobbit.
Yeah. That was always, I think that was another thing that made me really enjoy The Hobbit, was that fact, just knowing that it started out as a bedtime story. It's like,
oh yeah, it was a children's tale, and that's why Lord of the Rings almost didn't get published, because they wanted that fit more with the Hobbit style story, but he didn't have that in him to do that again. That was like a one-off type deal, and he ended up eventually publishing Lord of the Rings. And reading through like Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion, the Unfinished Tales, you can really see where he pulls in his experiences in World War I into the books. Like the Barrow-wit is definitely a big thing, where he was severely injured. He lost a very dear friend in the trenches, and he ended up with trench fever and was really sick. And that mirrors a lot like what happens with Bilbo in the Barrows, without losing the friend, of course.
That's amazing to know that's where it kind of all comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, the just the horrors of trench warfare in World War I is this story is what it became.
And it takes real talent to take an experience like that and to turn it into something that creative. There are plenty of people who write down their experiences, and you can find plenty of stories and even quote unquote historical fiction where somebody takes their experiences and more or less translates it directly. But to take it and turn it into this high fantasy experience that takes some real skill on Tolkien's part. Not to say that, I mean, obviously we aren't just now finding out the man is talented, but I mean, it just speaks more toward his talent.
Well, one of the other things that inspired him was when he met his wife. They were out walking in the woods, and they came across across an open field, and she walked out and was standing it, and he said the light hit her just the right way, and that's what inspired the story of Baron and Luthien. That's why his headstone says it has his name and then Baron Luthien underneath. She was a lot of the inspiration for the romance in the novels.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the movie, but the movie that they did about Tolkien.
Yeah, Talking.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
How did I forget? Anyways, yeah, that was a good movie. I liked that movie.
They did a great job with bringing his story to life. They really did, bringing it to current audiences, because a lot of people just don't know his story.
Right. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand just how intelligent that man was.
Well, what was it? He spoke like 8 languages, but his one hang-up was that he had a hard time learning Finnish.
But yeah, 8 languages. How many of them did he invent?
Oh goodness, there's 4 in Lord of the Rings alone, maybe 5 at least, plus the language, the 8 languages he spoke, I think, that are actual languages.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a philologist, so.
Hey, there's children watching.
I shudder to think that there might be children watching this.
We've got children on the podcast.
Touche.
Of course, then again, she just played Monster Prom, so I mean, I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that movie exists. I think that it still didn't get a lot of press. It didn't. I don't think a lot of people like us saw it.
Oh yeah, I've watched it a couple times.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't even know it existed. So.
Oh, you need to watch it. It's really good. There's
looking it up now.
There's a funny story from his childhood. He wrote a story for his mother that he took to her, and she read it through and looked at him and said, "You can't call it a green great dragon because that's not how the English language works. It has to be great green dragon. That's just how we say it." And he didn't write anything again until he understood why we said things that way, why our grammar is the way it is.
Oh man, that's like a whole other bag of cats right there. Good Lord, our grammar.
Well, it was the start of a legacy that's soon to be almost that in 16 years will be 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, 100 years old.
Yeah, Hobbitt came out in 1937.
Yeah, that's when Bucky Barnes read it.
That's the reason I remember it.
Oh man, you think another 100 years they'll still be talking about Lord of the Rings?
Do they still talk about Shakespeare?
Oh my
God.
I just realized Gandalf the White was a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Explain.
Sorcerer is just a wizard without a hat.
Oh, stop.
That's
I hated that line. Oh, God, you have no idea. I had to look. Tiffany and I were watching that. I literally had to stop and pause the show at that point. And I was like, no, Tiffany, no. Because I've played so many sorcerers in Dungeons and Dragons. So many sorcerers. And like, I can't tell you how many times other characters I've been playing with have called me a wizard. And I've gone, no, not a wizard. I'm a sorcerer. And they go, what's the difference? And then I go into like a half-hour-long explanation on why a sorcerer is different from a wizard. It's not just the hat.
Saruman was a sorcerer too.
Jesus Christ. So you're saying
Radagast was a wizard, but he was a shitty wizard.
I love Radagast.
No, I meant literally. He had shit on him.
Yeah, like literally.
True. True.
So you're saying Gandalf the Grey is a wizard and Gandalf the White is a sorcerer? Is that what you're...
That's what I'm saying. Hey, don't argue with Captain America. We don't do that around here.
You're right.
Wait, which Captain America am I not arguing with? There's 3 now.
Any of them.
Captain
you
America.
can argue with John Walker, but like other than that.
Yeah.
Only if I can punch him in the face.
Ooh.
Yeah.
John Walker, not the actor. Nothing's wrong with that actor. He's an amazing actor. For us,
the actor is phenomenal.
For
The
us, I
character-
hate the character so much, he's an amazing actor.
The
Yes.
character of John Walker.
That's great.
Mm-mm.
I gotta say, and like I might get crucified for this, but I kind of felt sorry for John Walker
That's great.
by the end of it. Like the whole thing was he was raised by a military industrial complex to be and act a certain way, and when they gave him the shield and he was and acted that way, they then stripped him of everything he ever had. And it's like that kind of speech at the end where he was like, I just did what you taught me to do this whole time. You trained me to be this way. I just did what you told me to do. I was just being a good soldier. And it's like
this before we get too deep into the feelings and the story behind that scene in particular.
Yeah.
It is very much touching on subjects that were very relevant last year
Yes.
and are still relevant to this day.
That's true.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
while I can see what you're saying,
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying his actions were justified. I'm not saying he's a good person.
Gotcha.
Just saying.
I still think he just got a slap on the wrist.
Just saying, I felt pity for the man. Is all. Like not saying.
You can feel pity for him, but he still just got a slap on the wrist.
he got
Yes.
brainwashed. He got brainwashed into what he was.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Like just say like I'm not saying his actions are justified. Not saying that makes him a good person. Not saying any of that kind of stuff because man's a monster at the end of the day. But being a veteran and having been rung through that same military industrial complex,
There we go.
like I did feel some pity for the man.
I just kind of wanted to clarify the conversation so that
Thank
our
you.
listeners
That was
could.
necessary.
Yes.
I just wanted to be very clear that his actions were completely not justified. And
Right.
So, but I mean, one could also make the argument that that super soldier serum amplified those deep-seated emotions that he had too, and so yeah, I can definitely see that we are also not talking about Lord of the Rings right now, but
The guild train,
a tangent.
reminded us. It's like it's time for Lord of the Rings.
yeah. Ugh.
But speaking of which, I mean, it's about that time, Baron. If you want to,
Oh, and
Throw a
Baron,
bow on.
I have to apologize. I went back into my copy
Yeah.
of Lord of the Rings just to
Uh-huh.
double check. It bag end goes to Sam. I'm sorry. I put you through all that. It goes to Sam.
Oh
I
my
double
God.
checked.
You know what? I mean, again, you can't see what's going on the podcast, but it literally, this feeling of relief just washed over me. Like, you ever had like a big bad brain freeze, and then all of a sudden it just kind of melts. You get that feeling of relief all through your body. I mean, I'm not even
Now you
exaggerating.
can sleep peacefully.
Oh, it's like ASMR. You saying, you know what? I'm going to need to record that part of the podcast. Her saying, "Bag end goes to Sam," and just
Yeah,
for ASMR.
I double checked.
I'm going to have that on repeat, and I'm going to go to sleep to it.
I just watched years like melt off of your face. Like you aged like 10 years as soon as like you heard the Sackville Baggins has got bag end, and like now like those 10 years just fell off of your face.
Those hobbits don't have to die.
Something happens to them at the end. I don't remember what it is, but I hope it was suitably awful.
No, yeah, I'm going to have to look that up. Wow, but hey, I'll tell you what though, I think we got a good hour and a half of great content of me reacting to that though. That's
Oh, the diatribe was phenomenal. The true villains of Lord of the Rings, the Sackville Bagginses.
oh my, you know what? That's who let fucking Sharkface or whatever he called himself when he got in there. That's who let Saruman into the Shires, the Sackville Baggins, because he was like, you know what? If you let me in, I'll give you bag end. And they're like, okay. I'm like saying that like there's a big wall around the Shire, but there's not. What was his name? Sharktooth or Sharky or it was Shark something. How did the hobbits even know?
It was Sharky. It was Sharky.
How the hobbits even know what a fucking shark is? Why did he come in there and name himself Sharky? What a fucking Tolkien! I reprimand you for that fucking name. Should have been like Badgery or something. I bet the hobbits hate badgers.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh no.
There is a little note here in chapter 9 of it's the Grey Havens. They had it for a little bit until Lotho was killed, and then she gave it back to Frodo. So they did live in Bag End for a while.
Oh well, they did the same thing when Bilbo left too, though. Didn't they live in there for a little while when he left?
They were auctioning it off, but I don't think they actually lived in it. I think
Fucking dick.
I think at the start of the book he gives it to them. Something along those lines.
Wait. So the Sackville Baggins just gives it back to Frodo?
Yep,
Like
after Lotho was killed, Lobelia goes back to her family.
Pieces of shit. It wasn't even theirs. Oh, we're gonna give it back to Frodo. It's not yours, you bitch.
I think he sells it to them before he leaves.
Strap in, people. It's another 3 hours of Sackville Baggins' hate.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He sold it to him before he left?
Chapter 3 through his company, he sells it to them because he's leaving the Shire and he's trying to make it look like he's truly just moving. And then when he comes back, she gives it back to him because Lotho was killed. But he was a jerk anyway, so. What goes around comes around, I assume.
Was he killed in the invasion of Sharkface?
I think Sharky was one of the men killed.
Shark Boy?
Oh no, Wormtongue is the one that gets Sharky and the other men.
Right. Well, I mean, who killed my buddy, Mr. Sackville Baggins?
Your buddy.
Please say random orc. Don't give him the rest of being killed by somebody important. No. He fell down the steps of Bag End. Oh, wait. He was carried off by a falcon. Any of those will be fine.
Well, I don't think there's any orcs in the Shire.
Oh, well, I mean, there were... Wait. Aren't?
No, I think they're just humans with Bill Ferny and Wormtongue.
Oh, wait. A dog carried him off. Even better.
I think he's a little too fat for that.
Oof.
I will say there is a Lord of the Rings video game. I wish I could remember the title of it. But if you've ever played Star Wars Battlefront, it's very similar, except it's Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
And you play through the story of Lord of the Rings, and then if you keep playing the story mode, like basically you go from the Shire to Mount Doom, and like if you keep playing the story mode, then you play as the village and you go backwards. You go from Mount Doom all the way to the Shire, and there's a trophy you can earn called Stupid Hobbitses for killing 300 hobbits.
Oh my god.
Oh, good lord.
And one of my experiences with Lord of the Rings is there's a friend of mine who the first day I ever hung out with him, I was like, he invited me over his place and he handed me an Xbox controller and he's like, sit down, you're not leaving until I have this trophy. Because he just found out about the trophy's name. He was just like, Stupid Hobbitses, and he was like, I have to have this on my gamer tag. So we played through that entire game twice. Once as the heroes, so we could unlock the villains run, and then again the villains just run through and kill 300 hobbits.
Are there even 300 hobbits in the Shire? I mean,
no, but they just keep spawning.
Oh.
And I did most of it as a Balrog. Most of the hobbit killing.
Seriously?
Yes. I was a Balrog stomping through the Shire, just killing hobbits.
Well, you literally just catch everything on fire.
Yep.
Baron, it was Grima Wormtongue that stabs Lotho and kills him. It killed him in his sleep.
Oh, I don't know if that's good. I don't think. No, he didn't deserve to be killed by a named character. Nope.
Even if it wasn't his sleep.
Yep. Even if it wasn't his sleep. You know what? He died of sleep apnea.
Here, Baron, I'll give you this one because I haven't used my Guild Decree. Guild Decree, he died of sleep apnea.
Yes! Yes!
There you go.
Well, and here's the kicker. Guess who tells them that Wormtongue is the one that killed him? Saruman is the one that tells them that Grima, he says, killed their chief.
Oh, shut the fuck up! He was the chief?
At that point in time, I guess they thought he was the one in power. He was the sheriff of the town. I guess they called him the chief.
Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. No. No.
All right, Baron, I know you're reeling. Let's go ahead and put a bow on this thing.
I think I broke Baron again.
You did.
Well, thank you for joining us for the most frivolous use of guild decrees ever in the history of the Captain Guild.
Oh, come on. I called Big Bird a kaiju before.
Yeah, but that was important. But you shouldn't have even had a guild decree. You couldn't argue that anyways. It's a kaiju. Come on.
Yes,
That's a kaiju. Come on.
it is a kaiju. I mean, like, I made it a guild decree for a reason. It's.
So hopefully this podcast, this episode in particular, has inspired you to go out and immerse yourself in some more Tolkien, get yourself ready for the TV show coming out, maybe go out and play the Games Workshop miniatures game. That is actually a lot of fun. Hopefully, anybody, not looking at anybody in particular, will actually read some more of the books and and have a good time reading it, please. And just remember, we here at Casters Guild love all hobbits, because we are all hobbits, if not.
All right, Mary. If anybody liked what you had to say and they want to find you anywhere on the internet, is there anywhere they can do that?
I've got Facebook. I'm not hard to find, but best would be like Instagram. I'm Bingle_25, like Bing and Google combined.
Nice. All right, everybody.
I'm still waiting for our one guest to be like, nope. Okay.
We have had that. It has happened.
Oh,
yeah.
No. I'm sorry, guest. I forgot all about.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Casters Guild. You can find us on YouTube and Twitch and all the socials. Email us at castersguild@gmail.com with your thoughts about the Sackville Bagginses.
Do it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.